Okay, so I'm going to do a walk around of the 4510. This is a trailer version of our 3510 Agrivac. Low volume, but extremely portable and self-contained. So, do a walk right around the unit. And then I'll go into some detail on the actual operation. So the basic components that you're looking at, you've got your blower here, okay, you're looking at an oil reservoir at the front and at the rear. Both of them have sight glasses here that you need to check for the presence of oil. Filling the oil and emptying it. Emptying is from underneath. Filling the oil is from the top here to a height dictated by the oil fill level bung just in there. This oil takes a long time to run down when you're filling it. You need to allow time for it to get through rather than just pour until it comes out through the holes. There's exactly the same holes on the front as well for filling it. There's the front sight glass there. The other major component of the Agrivac is the receiver cyclone, and beneath it, which is a little hard to see, but in under there is your airlock. Okay, so basically this is where your grain is sucked into the machine through this inlet here. The grain spins, drops down through the cyclone onto the top of the airlock. The air is taken across and through the blower and comes back underneath the airlock, and then blows the grain that's metered back out of the airlock away through either the truck loading boom that you can see folded up there, or you can disconnect it down the bottom here and hook on piping and run it away via piping. On this particular model, part of the receiver cyclone is what we call the pre-cleaner. That's this unit here. Basically, the air comes out of the top of the suction cyclone into the pre-cleaner. Then dust and fine particles are separated from the air before it goes across and into the blower. This is done to extend the life of the blower by removing as much out of the air as it can before it's going through your blower. The dust cyclone has its own separate door on the bottom here. It needs to be dumped, they say, every 45 tonne. My recommendation is every time you fill a truck or turn the machine off, you drop the product out of that door. Then once you've done that, leave the door open and you know that it's empty, ready for your next use. The truck loading boom that I mentioned earlier is hydraulically controlled as far as lifting and lowering, and then manually rotated using this bar here to turn it around. So basically, with your engine running at an idle, you use this lever, lift and lower. You can see the instructions here beside it. Okay. Second lever is for your airlock. We'll go into that shortly, but primarily, first of all, you've got to set up your truck boom. So you raise it out of the saddle, manually rotate it around to position, lower it down as low as you need, and unfold that section of the boom and latch it around. Then lift it up, put it in place over the truck, and it's then ready for operation. One safety feature that we do fit to the boom is a hydraulic tap in the line, so that when you get it in position, you turn the tap off and it's not going to move any further. Okay, at the front of the trailer here, you've got your fuel tank for the Kohler engine, just there, and battery for starting the Kohler engine. Fuel wise, 91 or 95. unleaded fuel, and please avoid ethanol if you can at all. Pre-checks on your Kohler engine. You've got your dipstick for your oil just there, and then around the back here you've got an oil filter and a fuel filter on the system there. Okay, key for starting. This is a choked model, so it's naturally aspirated engine. So you've got your choke and your throttle. Basically you want to, for starting it, just about any time, put your choke over, put your throttle to half, and then turn the key. Straight away, drop your choke off most of the time, and away it goes. Okay, I'm going to start up the Agrivac now. So the first thing you must do before trying to start it is remove the plug out of your suction inlet. These machines, the blower works on positive displacement, so if you don't remove the plug, it creates a vacuum and it just will not start. So once you've removed the plug, you come around here, as I said earlier, key on, choke on, throttle at half. And it's away. As simple as that. So what I'm going to do next is lift the boom and rotate it into position. A little bit noisy up close, so I'll just go quiet for a little while here. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a closer look at the truck loading boom, how it unfolds and how to get it into the right position. So we've got a couple of features, as I mentioned earlier. Manual rotation with a latch to lock it into place. So you can see around here, that's your positioning latch just there. Before you can move it, you need to take some weight off and then flip the latch up and out of your road. Once you get it in position, flick it in, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. From there, you go up, and this is currently in its folded position. There's another latch here that goes into place, and then you put a pin through, holds it there for transport. So I've pulled the pin and just about ready to swing it around. At the join, got a rubber gasket here. They are a bit prone to being damaged and knocked off. It's very important to keep that there so that it seals tightly. Anywhere where you're going to lose air, you're going to lose performance out of the vacuum. So you need to keep that gasket there, and if it does get damaged, get a replacement. We have them in stock, easily able to send them to you at any stage. So when you go to fold the boom out, it's very easy. Comes around. Sits in place. Handle here with an over-center latch to lock it in. It's a good idea to actually lock the handle in the closed position all the time for transport, so that handle's not flinging around freely. Then when you've actually latched the boom in place, you've got to lock it back again. Something that tricks a lot of people, the hole for this pin actually runs down through the middle of the handle, so you've got to get it in the right spot to make it actually engage. So push that in, and it sits about there. Trying to do it one-handed is another whole level of challenge. Okay, so that's your boom fully unfolded and ready to lift into position. So now actually lifting the boom into position, engine running at an idle, and it's just a simple matter. All on the hydraulics, and up it goes. Once you've got it where you want it, then you're locking off the hydraulic hand tap there so that it can't move any further. That prevents any accidents, having it fall on top of somebody or damage a truck. Okay, so the next step now of the setup is getting your hoses connected and in position. You've got basically your female coupling and your male coupling. Now, these are exclusive to Walinga and their products. So if you want extras, yes, we've got them available. We can send them down to you. So basically what happens with your tail bolts right out, the male slips in. You can see the chamfer in there. You want to have that tail bolt so that it's starting to grab on the chamfer, and then the same on the other side, and you tighten it up. Works very, very well. Again, it's important that you have it sealed up really well. You can see in the female there, you've got an O-ring for the male to seat against. If that O-ring goes missing, or if you get rubbish built up in here and it doesn't contact, you'll have a leak, and the leak will reduce your efficiency. So you just continue that, connect up your hoses until you've got whatever length you want, and on the end you put one of the suction nozzles. So I'll address them separately in a second. There's actually two suction nozzles with this machine. One is our floor sweep, and the other is the bulk suction nozzle. Both have the same basic principle. They're a 4-inch aluminium nozzle for putting into the grain with an air slide to regulate your grain flow. So basically, the further open that slide is, the less grain you're going to move, until you get to a point where it's working at maximum capacity. You always need some air going in with the grain, and if you go too far, it'll actually bog down and won't work as efficiently at all. So you go to probably 9 times out of 10, you'll be operating at about that sort of position. Tighten it off, and when it's running properly, the hoses will be nice and stable, and it'll be moving a great amount of grain. If the hoses are actually pulsing you've got a bit too much grain going through, you just want to open it up a little bit and close it again and let it settle. Again, nice steady hose, a nice steady boom, and it's all operating as efficiently as you can get it. This nozzle here is the 4 sweep, and it's important that you actually look at the way it's stored. It only fits in that particular position. You've got to have it folded up and setting with the handle tucked away nicely down there for safety. And then you just tighten it up at the tail bolt there to hold it in position. We want to get it out and set it up to use. So lift it down, and this section here allows you to adjust it into a comfortable operating position. It's a case of pull the handle out, it sits right there, pin back through, and then connect your hose. So this then has the vacuum head. You're going straight at the grain like this and sucking it away. Again, this nozzle has an air slide that you'll need to open to allow the air to come in. On this one, it'll probably be closed a bit more because you're always going to be sucking a bit of air in the front end as well. Okay, so you've got your hoses all connected, your boom's in position, you're ready to start moving some grain. When you're sucking the grain in and blowing it out properly, what you'll see through this window here is grain constantly moving past the window. As it comes in, it circles past and then drops away down into the airlock and is blown away. Okay, you will from time to time with different grains notice that some grain moves better than others. What you're going to need to adjust, if that grain starts filling up, you need to be adjusting the airlock speed underneath. That is adjusted using this flow control valve just here. Honestly, I think on this particular model, you'll always have it set at about the maximum. And that will be a good speed and make everything just run nicely. In what we've used it for, we haven't had to change it much at all. But that's your airlock speed, and it regulates that hydraulic motor there, and that drive wheel there with the arrow on it shows you that your airlock is spinning in the right direction and allows you to get an idea of what sort of speed it's spinning at. You're looking for a speed of about 1 revolution per second, okay? And that's as simple as it gets. To activate the airlock, you've got this second lever here on the hydraulics. Again, it's dual action lever, so push it forward, looking at the instructions there, that's your reverse. Pull it backwards, that is in the correct direction, and it's actually got a detent so it stays in. So that needs to be turning before you start sucking any grain, otherwise the grain will come in, but it won't be able to go out, and you'll end up with a blocked machine. So you need to come and activate the airlock in the correct direction to make this machine work. The reason for the reverse is, on occasion, if you get a blockage, you may be able to free that blockage by just reversing it a little bit, but it's not meant to run in reverse for an extended period of time. So with your airlock engaged, you're now actually ready to start moving some grain. You've got all your hoses connected. The only thing left is the dump door on the on the air pre-cleaner that we've left open from last time. So you bring it up and allow it to suck closed. It will suck closed with force, so make sure that there's no fingers or anything in the road. Once it's closed, you latch it in place. Now that has allowed the suction to transmit out through your hose to your nozzle, and it'll start moving grain. The final part that I want to look at is the different types of hoses that you've got. You can see the black plastic, that's what we call a Canaflex hose. That's your normal run-of-the-mill suction hose. You notice it's got a 45-degree elbow on the end of it. That's to help put the suction nozzle into the right position. You'd use that predominantly with your bulk suction nozzle, which is the straight round one on this side. Your floor sweep nozzle next to it, you generally use this bronzy coloured clear and bronze, what we call VHD hose. Okay, it's just a straight hose. It has a swivel coupling on the end of it, and that's really handy with the floor sweep, so that you've got the floor sweep running at the right angle. Those swivel couplings are very expensive, around about $200 each, I think it is, or maybe even more. And this hose is very soft and very flexible. So it's a fantastic hose to use, but it actually wears out very, very quickly, particularly if you have the grain running around a sharp corner. So always try and use that hose in a straight line, as straight as possible. That's why it's sort of really there for the floor sweep and nothing else. Then you've got the stainless flex. This hose is extremely hard wearing. It'll stand up to a lot of regular use, so you use that in just about every application that you come to, and then only use the softer flexible hoses at the end where your nozzles are.